Well, this is gonna go short then, because what today was, is we've spent. What this really came from is yesterday, Remax did that webinar, kind of preparing yourself for the change, the upcoming change. And before Remax had done that webinar, I really was giving some thought to it and was thinking, I put it as an agenda item in next week's meeting to just kind of remind everybody, listen, don't forget. Yes, commission's not showing on the MLS is a big change for us. But another big change that we really need to be ready for is this, you have to have some kind of signed agreement before you tour homes. And obviously, the ultimate signed agreement would be a buyer agency contract. And if you haven't been meticulously talking about that, I think if you're gonna have a hard time saying to a buyer, you need to sign this in order for me to show you this house, that you better start practicing now, so that by the time you have to do it, you've already done it for a month. The time to learn how to say this to a buyer isn't the day you have to start saying it. So with that in mind, and kind of that thinking about that being a huge change for buyers agents, and then yesterday in the Remax webinar, them talking about, buyers agents really needing to be on their game. I thought, and actually, I didn't develop this class yesterday. I actually had said we were gonna do this a couple weeks ago, but it's all kind of coming down to, do you have your presentation ready? Do you know what you're gonna say? And especially if you're a little bit slow right now, these are the kind of things you should work on. So what I thought we would do is I pulled out the buyer bootcamp training, and at the very back is this kind of, here are all the steps involved in meeting with and helping a buyer, and we go through them one by one and say, do you have a method in place for that? How do you say it? How do you get it done? Do you know? And let's work on that, not teach the buyer presentation, but work on our buyer presentation. So the first item is meet in the office. Have we started practicing saying to people, great, let's meet. I wanna see this house, terrific. Let's meet. Have we started practicing? No.
Haven't had any opportunities to do that.
Okay, all right. Are we ready to do that? Are we ready to say when a buyer calls and says, I'd like to buy a house, and I'm assuming for you I won't assume. If a buyer called right now, if you imagined a buyer calling, what percentage would you expect to be people calling you because they had your name versus floor calls?
60, 70?
60% people
60
knowing
to
your name,
70% that would call me not as a floor call.
not as a floor call, and then 30% floor calls.
Same-ish.
Okay, so let's start with the majority of those people, which are 60 to 70%, which aren't just some random stranger calling for God knows why.
Right.
Are you comfortable saying, terrific, when can we meet?
Right now, no, because I know that I don't have a packet for
Uh-huh,
a buyer
great.
to say, there's value and worth in spending time together rather than,
That's so funny you should say that,
well,
because
I can get all this information over the phone.
Uh-uh.
And if I already know you more than a phone call,
yeah,
I trust that. I don't know, I guess I'd be more willing to go see the house and we can I have probably 2 or 3 people that I could show a house every month for a year.
yeah,
And maybe by the end of that, in a year, 2 months to 2 years, they might find the perfect house that
Yeah.
like 2 years ago we had this meeting. It's just a weird, I don't know.
okay,
I don't have any good examples because I don't have anything really.
So I think for me, it would be a top of mind thing when you call me and you ask to see some houses. I think I'm to the point right now, with how busy I am with management and then my sales, that I don't wanna go waste my time or. Yeah, waste my time on showing something that maybe you're not ready for, so, I don't think I'll have a hard time saying it,
Mhm.
only because I'm saving myself right now the time. That's precious to me,
Yeah,
and so if I. And I guess it's just me articulating the correct wording to. Say it to you in a way that you're not gonna. Fight it and just be okay with coming in and talking to me.
mhm.
So I think that would be my challenge in
Yeah.
regards to that. Because I don't wanna. I mean, we know that now we have to do this or else you can't show it. And, but not have that fear of, I might lose you if I say,
Mhm.
come and meet me. And then you say, well, Emma didn't ask me to do that, you know?
Well, but that is why I started with the 60 to 70% who are calling you because they have their name, your
Mhm.
name. I mean, if you're calling me because you have my name, then hopefully you have some small amount of trust that I know what I'm talking about, right? And
And I was referred to you, but could that person that referred you to me say, oh, this is how it went for us, and
yeah,
I never met with them.
so let's
In the
do
past.
this, right? You call me, hi, my name is Juan, I got your name from so and so, I'm thinking about looking for houses and I wonder if you can help, right?
Yeah.
And I say, great, Juan, can I ask you who you got my name from? And okay,
Yeah.
I'll make sure and thank them and okay, terrific. What I'd love to do is meet you first. Just either we can meet in the office or meet for coffee or whatever, but just meet first. I'd probably just say that. I wouldn't even say to this or to that. So I say that. What I'd love to do is meet first. When could we get together? Don't
Oh.
forget, you're gonna argue with me.
Right,
Okay.
well, I have this address already, can we just go see it and talk there?
Yeah, yes, we can. However, I just wanna let you know something. There are new rules in place for realtors. Unfortunately, what has happened in the past, and what they said at this webinar yesterday was agents don't sell their value because they don't believe they have it. Right? Agents don't sell their value. So when we're doing the listing, it's hard to fight for something when I'm new, because I'm fighting for, I don't even know if I'm any good, how can I, okay. So we have to believe that there's value. And what you could probably start with is, I almost brought this up, who was I? Oh, it was a Zoom meeting. It was a Zoom meeting for Mishra. The topic of the discussion wasn't going my way as far as concessions. It's a long story. I almost raised my hand and said, guys, can we start with admitting that we deserved this lawsuit? That we shouldn't have lost it, but that we deserved it? Because there were buyers out there saying, don't worry, it doesn't cost you anything, it's free, you don't pay it anyway. Anyway, the seller pays it, that buyers were out there saying, you can't negotiate my commission, you don't pay my commission, the agent does. We deserved this lawsuit. We shouldn't have lost it, but just like when the city did a fair housing scam, or what do you call that? Testing. The city, yes, testing. The city sent out testers, called different agents, and different agents did say things like, you don't want to look in that neighborhood, or that's the ghetto, or gave a person who sounded more affluent different information than a person who sounded less, you know what I mean? So on the one hand, you're like, we're not like that. Some of us are. So that lawsuit had bearing, or it wouldn't have gotten as far as it did. So you say to me, well, I've got an address here, can't we just meet at the house? Yes, we can, but let me just tell you something right now. Unfortunately, there's been a rule change for realtors, and that rule change was because a lot of buyers agents, a lot of agents working with buyers were just like, la-di-da, sure, I'll show you this house and da-da-da, and weren't informing buyers of the real costs involved in buying, of the real concerns involved in buying, in the real potential dangers involved in buying, and they got sued. And because they got sued, we are all playing under new rules now. And one of those new rules is I'm not supposed to, or I could get sued, just run out and show you a house without talking to you first about the actual costs, the actual dangers, the actual ramifications, the actual things you really need to know. I have always done this. I maybe didn't do it as structured. I maybe met you at the house and did it while we were going through the house. This is something I've always done, but thanks to a few bad players, I have to do it more formally. So, yeah, we can meet at the house. What's the address? Da 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 da. Okay, I know right there where there is. There's a McDonald's just around the corner. Let's meet at the McDonald's first. 15-20 minutes, go through these things I have to go through because now I'm required to, thanks to this lawsuit, and then look at the house. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Yes, it sounds good.
Mhm.
It sounds professional. I'm not just trying to trap you. I've got a real reason why I have to meet with you, and it's for your benefit. Because realtors were doing a shitty job, and now I'm required to do a good job, which I always did. I just have to do it more formally now. Yeah.
And if you get pushback, then we're probably not a
If
serious.
I get
Right.
pushback, then what the hell,
Right.
No,
right?
No, I really just wanna look at the house, thank you.
Yes, you, right? Yeah, okay. No, I really just wanna look at the house, thank you. You're welcome. And let me let you know that I am sure there's an agent out there. First of all, you need to know that in order to look at any house now, according to this new rule, you have to sign something with an agent. Now, it can be something that says you're not my agent, I don't like you, go away, just show me this house. I just wanna let you know that's an unprofessional way to work and I won't do it. I'm sure there's an agent out there that will. I'd wonder about that if I were you. And certainly if you love the house, you should wonder about the agent that was willing to just open the door and not worry about if you knew the things that you need to know first. But yeah, then you let them go,
Correct.
because I told you exactly why we need to meet, exactly why it's in your interest. I accommodated you and said, let's meet around the corner, right? So now you suck and you've refused my services and what we're doing, and we always do this, we're thinking about that 1 in 40.
Right.
We really are.
Well, the benefit of all of this is it really does weed out those people that are legitimately looking to get to buy a home, like motivated people. Versus just
Really,
window
I'm wanting to
shoppers.
buy, I'm going, okay,
Yeah,
all right, you're the boss, you're there, tell me what to do. So we've gotta be careful that we don't constantly give up because we know there's that one that's
Right.
gonna break our soul. Yeah, it's 1 of 40. The other 39 are gonna say, oh, okay, great, sounds good. Right? You've said yes to me. You'll meet me at the, I have not taken seeing the house off the table. I've put it on the table. I've said, yep. So, okay, great. So let's schedule the showing for 11. Let's plan on meeting at the McDonald's at 10:40. Sound good? Yes. Now, if I'm gonna get you to come into the office, I'd rather schedule more like an hour just in case. But if push comes to shove, 40 minutes. And I'm gonna have a buyer agent's agreement with me, and at the least, you're gonna sign a 1 showing buyer agency agreement, right? At the least, at the most, I'm gonna get a 3-month to 6-month buyer agency agreement. But at the least, it's gonna say, okay, great, let's just sign it for this 1 showing. And again, I have to get something signed, we have to have an agreement in place before I can show you this house. But that comes then near the end of this 20 minutes, not at the beginning of the 20 minutes. So this started with a discussion of, can we even get them to meet us?
you should be able to. Sure.
And
Yeah.
what you said was, part of the problem is, I don't know what I'm gonna give them once I get there, so it's hard for me to say, let's meet, because I'm not prepared to meet. So then I think we've tackled, can we get them to meet us? So then let's move on to the next thing. Move to the conference room, go ahead.
I don't know if this question probably doesn't fall along with this, but my concern would be, okay, we meet and then they say, okay, I only I'll sign it, but only for this one house.
Mhm.
My first thought would be, well, how serious are you, or how much am I gonna invest to you today, and then you're gonna just, hey, Dave, you wanna come show me a house now? And then tomorrow, hey, Mia, can you, so how do I
That's gonna
protect
get
myself
old.
from?
Yeah. Yep, so I wanna go to Dave real quick. Remember when you called me and said, well and septic and da 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 and da 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 and this guy da da da, and what did I say?
Well, I'm trying to remember the specifics, you and I have
Martha's
spoken
well
a
and septic.
lot,
I
okay,
said, tell Martha this story.
yeah,
The same way
That you
you
just
just told
told
it to me. Tell the buyer that as if you were just talking to me, right? I just wanna sign it for this showing. After we've talked about how I represent you, but still, all I can get is this showing. Then I'm gonna say, okay, we're here and I promised you on the phone, yes, we can see this house. Here's what I gotta let you know. I'm a professional. I do this full time. In a typical situation, what I have is a buyer who wants to buy a house. And maybe this one, maybe a different, and they want to work with an agent because they understand that I'm going to protect them, that I'm gonna guide them, that I'm gonna give them the data they need, that I'm gonna help them save money, I'm gonna help them win the bid if they wanna be in a mall. They want that, right? So that's what I'm looking for in a buyer. Okay, so let's look at the house. I told you I would. This house by house thing is not what I'm looking for. Right, so I want to work with you. I think I can help you. I'm gonna show you this house. If you love it, great. We write an offer. We're good. If not, I want you to think about whether or not working with an agent is something that you want. And if it is, please call me, but signing one house by house is not my business model. The only thing that changes that fearful but what if to me saying it and going, oh yeah, is confidence. It's me saying it with confidence. That's it. You have to be confident. You have to be able to confidently say, you know the answer, you said it yourself. But what if they only want to sign one and then they just want to sign one and that's gonna get old in a hurry? Why can't you say that to them? That would get old in a hurry. Right? I'm running out every time and we're signing one because maybe this is the one. Why can't you tell them that? They're not stupid. They hear the truth in what you're saying. You have a right to have feelings and a business model and the way you like to work. You have every right to that. Tell them what you're feeling. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's what we learn to do because we're professionals. We're gonna bottle it in and we're not gonna say, oh my God, you're driving me crazy internet. Right? And frankly, they read it anyway. They know they're driving you crazy and they won. Right? They don't wanna win. When I know that I'm bothering you, yeah, in one way I'm winning, but in another way I'm losing. I don't wanna be a bad person. Shut me up. Yes? Yes, okay. All
I
right.
just wanna know how to address that
Tell 'em.
yeah.
Just tell them, it doesn't work for me. I told you we'd see the house, we're gonna see the house, but this isn't how I work, this isn't how I want to work. I want to work with people who want to work with an agent, who see value in what I do. I think I've demonstrated that value. I
What-
need you to recognize
What I
that.
have used for getting my agreement like extended beyond like one address at a time. Is something like, if this ends up not being the home and there's a home that you like tomorrow. We have to do this all over again. If you think that this was a waste of time today, it's definitely gonna start eating up after 4 or 5 different homes.
It's all about them too. Right? And if they say, well, I do wanna look at other homes, just not with you, okay,
Good to know.
good to know. I
Appreciate
wanna
your
be able to
honesty.
call, I wanna be able to call the agent on the sign. Okay, if I can, I'm gonna tell you why that's a dumb idea. If I can't, then thank you for the heads up and great, let's go look at the house. done. Here's the thing too, when I was selling, and I would meet somebody who'd already met with 30 agents, who'd already done that, I'd say, okay, guys, let's talk for a minute. Obviously, from what you're saying, I'm hearing you say, well, that agent did this, and well, when we looked at that, you've obviously been looking at houses with several agents. Why is that? Well, blah, 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 you know, whatever, we just, either, we don't wanna waste an agent's time. We don't wanna waste an agent's time, okay, well, let me settle that. Or we think we can get it cheaper if we work with the listing agent, well, let me settle that. Do you know the biggest thing to say when they think they'll get it cheaper from the listing agent?
I'll just remind them that that agent is working for the seller
Yeah.
and is gonna represent the seller and not me.
And not only are you not gonna get the savings, it's fraud. If I give you the savings and not the, if I'm giving someone savings, it's gonna be this guy, not you. I'm supposed to do everything I can to make him more money and you less. So it's fraud. So if an agent does collude with you to try to get you a better deal, they're committing fraud against their seller, who they owe their financial responsibility to.
Have you ever had someone respond to that with like, well, that might be true, but it still happens?
Yeah, I'm sure it still happens and not my business model, right? I mean,
Right,
yeah,
well, it just, cause I've had someone say
enjoy
that.
their lawsuit.
Right, well, so,
Yeah.
I've had an agent. Or not an agent, I've had a customer tell me that they like working with the agent because sometimes they put deals together that were in like the favor of the gentleman that was trying to buy.
Mhm.
And I was like, well, that's illegal, and he's like, not if you don't call the cops.
Yeah, no, absolutely,
So
but
it was shady, so like, I was like, thank you, I'm good. And
Yeah,
then
if I would do
left.
that, if I would do that for you, I'd do it to you also. So I'm not your agent. Right? If I would cheat for you, I would cheat against you also.
Right,
So if you're clearly not looking for an agent to represent you, you're looking to cheat. And that's just not my business model. Thank you, but yeah, I don't wanna work with slimy people.
because so like, what ended up, I was like, hey, so I don't think I'm gonna be the best agent for you if that's the case, and like, I'm gonna go back to my office, and then I got in my car and I left.
Yeah,
But I was like, I don't know if I could have handled that better, but it was an awkward situation to be put in, where like, yeah, hey, like.
how would you handle anything? Right, how would you handle being in a bank and, I don't know, somebody signing a check falsely and you saying, that's illegal, not if you don't call the cops. Right? Bye, right? I don't wanna work with, you know, people who don't care. Yeah,
Fair enough,
yeah.
I was just curious if there was a more articulated response to that.
Well, and going back, well, it depends on how bad you wanna work for it, right? Work for them coming to an understanding,
Gotcha,
right? How badly you wanna say, how badly you want them to see the error in what they're doing, right? That person worked with you to get you a better deal. What you don't know is they also worked with the seller to conceal latent defects on the property, because they'll do what they gotta do to put a deal together. So maybe you got a deal, maybe you got screwed. That's how I'd say it, right? A cheater is a cheater.
Once a cheater, always a cheater.
A cheater's a cheater.
I
They're
don't know, like I
cheating
said,
for you, they're cheating you.
it got very awkward, and I was like, hey, so I don't think I'm gonna be the best agent for you, and I'm gonna go.
So I have a real life story. I have clients who my husband coached in wrestling, we're friends with their parents, we're friends, they played with my kids, I mean, these people were friends, our friends. And they went to an open house of two agents who are husband and wife, who had it as a for sale by owner, didn't have it on the MLS, had it as a for sale by owner. Didn't disclose they were agents until these people were interested, said, well, they said, we're working with Lisa, she's a good friend of ours. Well, if you don't work with Lisa, we'll give you a better deal. I mean, did all the things and then didn't talk them out of a home inspection. Well, we just remodeled the whole thing. It's completely remodeled. There's nothing to do. It's already been through. Didn't put a new furnace in, didn't hook up the vents, didn't hook the
Ah.
ductwork up to the vents of, new furnace, no venting, right? Didn't find that out till after closing, cheated them, so.
Right.
My dad always said, if you wanna convince somebody of something,
Tell them
tell them a
so.
story. If you don't have your own, use someone else's, use mine, I'd say.
No, that's a good
I
one
have
for
a
sure.
perfect example of when that happened. And here's what happened. So, did they win? Didn't they win? And I'd look the person straight in the face and say, it's the best thing that could ever happen for me. Because these people now, I don't need to tell this story. They'll tell anybody who will listen. Work with an agent you trust. Because an agent who will get you a better deal will also cheat you. So, and then if they still are, I don't care, okay. Bye.
And cut your ties there.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, what is that? When somebody shows you who they are, believe them? If you're a cheater, and that's what you want, I don't wanna work with you. Okay, so again. We're meeting with them, we're getting on the selling channel, right? Getting on the selling channel just means remembering, what am I here to do? I'm not here to be bullied and pushed, and I'm here to establish a business relationship with these people, right? So you're either sitting in your office and they're in the conference room, or you're sitting in the car waiting to go into that McDonald's, and all you're doing is saying, what am I here for? I'm here to establish a business relationship with these people. And just saying that to yourself changes your mindset, changes your courage. I'm here to establish a business relationship. Okay, great. Gonna go in and talk about business here, right? Yes, I'm gonna create a friendship if I can, but it's business. I'm gonna build, okay, sorry, going back. Do I have a packet for these things? This went back to a packet, right? So just really quickly, when I meet them, do I have a system for that? Is there a handout for that? And probably not, but that was the whole point of today. When I move them to the conference room, or I walk into McDonald's, is there a system for that? Is there a packet for that? So one of the things I thought is, I went to the internet. Where's my mouse? Here. I went to the internet and pulled up images. Well, that's not what I pulled up. Oh, I went to, Chrome. Pulled up images of handouts for buyers, because what I thought was, wouldn't it be cute if you had the receptionist take them to the conference room and hand them cups with their names on it, Barry super buyer, or I don't know, I just thought, right, if we're gonna start from scratch, then start from scratch. You have a bag, right? You have a bag. Mia has a bag of what?
It has a little notebook, a pen with my name and information on it, hand sanitizer, a business card, and mints.
There you go. It's kind of a shopping bag for,
This is for your first meeting?
First meeting with a buyer.
Okay.
okay,
And then my first meeting with seller, I have a different bag.
yeah. So it's not saying you have to do that, right? Juan said there's no handout today. No, because this is very individual. You're gonna create your own buyer packet, but asking yourself at every step, is there a handout? Is there a tool? Is there something in my packet? Is there, right? Asking yourself that. Okay, getting on the selling channel. Again, is there a tangible here? Building rapport. Is there a tangible here? Now, that depends again on your personality, right? If I was a person who wanted to start this whole thing off as we're gonna be friends and have fun, I might play a game with them, right? Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Lisa from Remax Parrot. Here's your bingo card. Really quickly, just to get to know each other, we're gonna play bingo. I'm gonna ask you questions about you, and depending on your answer, the first person to get a bingo and the bingo card, like, have you ever been to Montana? Yes, and you've got Montana, I don't know, right? I wouldn't do this, but I'm dreaming it up, because if that's how I wanted to start our relationship, was with fun in a game, I'd create fun in a game. If I wanted to start our relationship very matter-of-factly, I might start with, okay, First of all, I like to get to know each other. I have a list of questions, right? And my questions would be business. Why are you here today? Have you talked at all about the moving process? Have you, it would be, right? But I'm building rapport first. We're getting to know each other a little bit. What is the process? How do I do that? And I just described two very different processes, but if you know what yours is and you do it the same every time, first of all, I remember people saying to me, oh yeah, Dave told me you were gonna do that. Dave told me you were gonna talk to about that. Dave told me you were gonna make me do that, because they're getting the same experience that the person that referred them to told them they'd get, because I'm consistent. And when you say, work with Lisa because of this, they get this if I'm consistently doing the same things, right? Okay. Setting the tone. Those are those messages you give, right? Setting the tone. First of all, I want to let you know. A win-win relationship. For me, let's go back. Set the tone. Sorry. The meeting, justifying the meeting, move to the conference room. Building rapport, setting the tone, right? I want to create a win-win working relationship. Here's what the agenda is today. We want you to get the home you want, and more importantly, want the home you get. I want you to know that everything here today is confidential. And great, then I have a question for you. How are you going about finding the perfect home, right? Remember, that was the set the tone. Either is there a list that you have that reminds you of what to say? Is there something you hand out to set the tone? Maybe a nicely created handout that says confidentiality, win-win, love the house you love, is there a handout for this? Maybe there is, maybe there isn't, but that's part of a consistent package. Is here's my buyer package. Here's how we walk through the process. Then we're gonna uncover their needs and wants, right? Momentum gave us this kind of, I want you to fill this out with a W next to what you want, and then next, and I just changed it. Sorry, old logo, this can all be fixed, but it has my name, my number. It's the momentum form. It's just on Remax letterhead, right? When we do the wants and needs, is there a handout? Is there a form? Is there a tangible? Okay? Prioritizing their wants and needs. How do I do that? Right now, again, this can all be very informal. Okay, what are we looking for? And I'm just taking notes. That's fine if that's what I want to do. That's how I want to do it. But if I've never spent the time to say, how would this work best? How do I want to do this? Then I'm just winging it, and I'm not giving consistent service, and I'm missing things with this buyer that I didn't miss with this buyer, right? So just asking yourself, what is my process? Verifying their motivation, right? Let me ask you a question. If you found a house that met all of your needs and a majority of your wants, is there anything that would keep you from writing an offer that day? Right? How do I ask that question? Is there a handout? Is it just a question? Is there, right? How do I ask that? Do I have something in my packet that talks about that? Check their financial ability. Talk to them about loan application. I didn't bring it down with me, but I have a form that I used to give out that told them all the things they need to apply for a loan. 2 years of W-2s, 3 months of bank statements. Yeah, I can't remember, but it had a list of all the things that they'll need in order to apply for a loan. So is that in my packet? Do I include that? If anybody wants that, remind me. I'd be happy to get that to you. Moving on to roles and expectations. I want you to know Remax has this new thing that they're kind of pumping out there, this new buyer presentation, right? So it's a very nice, again, any of this that you want, a home buyer's guide. And it talks about the road home, the steps to purchasing a home. Let a Remax agent be your guide, get pre-approved, right? What's the home search like? So you could tailor your presentation to kind of flow with this. With this being so pretty and so nicely done, I created a my role and your role handout that kind of consistently matches to me, it blends in.
Mhm.
So it's the my role and your role, but it kind of fits in with this format. I did it in Canva. So
Did you do this in Spanish too?
I did not do it in Spanish. You would love my Spanish translation of this, I'm sure. Yeah, I don't even know the word retreat, so. No, I did not, yeah. But anyway, you know. This is the thing that you should be doing when you've got time that you're not working on files is, do I have a complete buyer presentation and and listing agents do this all the time. Right? We have a listing packet. Now, we really have to push ourselves. Do we have a buyer packet? Right? Explain your role. So I created this my role, your role. Gain agreement on the roles, close to a working relationship, right? Get a buyer agency contract signed, all of these things. And we know I had a full 2-hour listing presentation pretty much down. On the odd chance that I got there and found out that the husband misunderstood and he's only got an hour and he's got to take the daughter to try practice or whatever, I could modify it and trim it down. So there's the in the office meeting that might take an hour, and then there's I could only get them to meet me at McDonald's and we're 20 minutes, but you can modify that and trim it down and push through things that you might have spent more time on, right? Mail thank you letters. So I have this pad of Remax note paper that I have. And one time I had to send several people the same thank you note. And I thought there's gotta be a faster way. And I figured out on my Microsoft Word how to format it to this shape and size and create it. And now every time I wanna write something, I just pull up that and I just change it. So you can see that last time I did one was in 2020 and it was to somebody named Kelly, probably Kelly Patterson, I don't know. But there was the letter that they had, the sample letter of when you're not gonna work with them. And so I just put it on here, right? This is this wording from the thing, although we won't be working together, I wish you success in the purchase of your next home. If I can ever be a future service to you or anyone you know, so I just, right, but this is that kind of work, I'm doing the work. And I'm not even gonna be meeting with buyers, but I'm doing the work to help you. If you want this, you can just have this or create your own. And then I thought, well, wait a minute, I've got these Remax cards, they're roughly the same size. I should be able to just print it on there. So this is the when they are gonna work with you. So this is in the Momentum handbook. It's still 2020 in Kelly but I really appreciate you trusting me with helping you find your next home. Here's what comes next and a list of the next steps. And again, it's the thank you card that you send them. But the difference between I need to send them a thank you and I've already got it in my computer. I already know what I printed on, blah, 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 boom, 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 sign done. That's what we do in our extra time is create that process so that boom, it's done. Okay, so the thank you cards, do you have a deliverable for that? Do you have a process for that? Sorry. List. Note. Oh, no, thank you. Create a buyer file. Do I know what goes in my buyer file? Right? Every time I have a buyer, I have a file, it has this, and this in it. You know, do I know what my buyer file is? Again, listing presentations, most agents will have blank ones, 2 or 3, so that when a seller calls, they say, one moment, they pull out and on the top is the questionnaire of the things that you asked, that it's right then and there, so that they don't have to assemble a listing package every time. Do I have pre-assembled buyer packages with not just what I present to the buyer and give to the buyer, but then what I keep in my file and how I track the buyer? Verify the price range with the lender. verify the price ceiling with the buyer. When do I do that? How do I do that? Do I have a system in place that reminds me to do that, et cetera? Is it done with a text? Is it done with a, you guys all know about those little videos I created that talk about the next process. Do I send them a quick?
YouTube.
Yeah, do I send them a quick video? What do I send them? Right? Is it a quick text? Hey, just talked to Brian Melanie. He said you guys agreed on that you're pre-approved up to a certain amount. Not all buyers wanna go to that amount that the lender gave them. Let me know.
That was funny.
Let me know, let's talk soon about what you wanna keep as your price ceiling. Or if you have any questions about your pre-approval, let's remember to, I don't know why. Yeah, I'm gonna try to
Just made it
find
look
my
so
notes.
enticing.
I don't know if it's both MCCU and KCCU, I think it's both of them are pushing these variable rate loans, but not really explaining it well. Do you guys know this?
No.
They're doing a adjustable rate mortgage, but not really explaining it. And so I've had agents come to closings and be like, oh, this is an adjustable rate mortgage? Did you know this is well, yeah, they're kind of do you know that, what? So I know why they're doing it. They're doing it for the same reason they did it back during the
Crash.
crash, right?
Yeah.
It's because right now, this looks great, this you can do, this you can afford, right? If interest rates go down, they're actually gonna be very happy when their rate adjusts.
Mhm.
If they go up, we're in
But, yeah,
trouble,
like-
yeah, so you need to know, so, do I have? That is not part of my note. Do I have a reminder in place? Yeah, do I have a reminder in place to not just confirm what their mortgage is, but confirm that they understand their mortgage and that they don't have any questions about it? Confirm that they have the cash to close, that they understand what cash to close is. I cannot tell you how many times people knew they had a down payment, they knew they had closing costs, but nobody had actually told them the amount, right? Are we sure we have cash to close? Do I have a system in place where I'm verifying all these things? Do I have a system in place where I'm not just searching the MLS, but I'm searching for sale by owners to match with have I given them something and discussed with them about what to do when they see a for sale by owner or an open house, right? Is there a handout for that? That's very easy. I had one that said, if you drive by a for sale by owner or an open house, number one, if it's for sale by owner, make sure I'm the first person to call them. If you call them first, they're gonna feel like they don't need to pay an agent because you didn't have one. If you're gonna have one, let me call them, I can probably talk them into paying me on your behalf. If you don't let me call them, I probably won't be able to do that. That's in their best interest. Yes, getting paid is in my best interest. You've already agreed to pay me. This is in your best interest. I'm gonna get them to cover that, right? Do I have a handout in place, a system in place for making sure they know that? Do I have a showing package? Do I give out, what do I give? Do I give the MLS? Do I give the MLS and disclosures? Do I give them nothing? Do I just have the MLS in case I need, what do I have at showings? Go ahead.
Does everybody print out? I still do. I print out the MLS listing and the disclosures. What does everybody else do?
I print out the MLS, but not the disclosures anymore. Cause I found myself just printing a whole bunch of, and then nothing happened with the house, so it was.
Yeah, I
don't do.
I
anything.
don't print anything until it's time. Now, what I do in advance is I will email them the disclosures beforehand if they've given me their email through the phone. And I'll forward the MLS listing to them. I'll share it with them via whatever means that they've asked for, but
You don't bring anything and you don't either.
Well,
Usually not.
Dave's way is a wonderful way to do what Mia's doing, but eliminate all the throwing away.
Right.
Right? And the wonderful thing now is you can do that straight from our phone to their phone.
Right. and that's what I found.
On the
Most people
spot.
don't most people don't want that stuff anyway, they're like, this is just gonna be garbage in my car as soon as I leave this house. Unless they decide to buy it.
So
Um,
maybe, because there are those people, there are those Kathy Jewels in the world who, you know, maybe we ask them. Maybe that's something we do that no other agent does. We say, okay, when we're looking at houses, some people want everything printed out so they can take notes, and some people just wanna look, and if I need the information, email it to me. Which one of those people are you, right?
Okay,
And then if they tell you, oh, I like to, blah, 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 great. Now I'm catering the experience to you. By asking, not even, you don't even have to try to decide for yourself. But if you don't do that with every client, you don't have a system in place to remind yourself to say, next thing I wanna do is talk to you about showings. When we have a showing, you know, if I do that every time, then they all get the same experience, even if they choose a different experience. Yeah, okay. Tour homes, use the one-to-one method, oh yeah, and close to the offer, okay. The only other thing is, you know, has anybody tried that yet? Okay, if we had to buy a home today, no matter what, would it be this home? And they say, no. Okay,
next.
next,
a version of that.
Yeah.
Without physically
ripping
ripping,
it,
yeah.
Delete.
yeah,
No, so like, if we, of all the homes that are on here, what one do you actually believe will be the home that you go for? And like, we'll go look at a home, and then like on the way back, if there's two others, I'll point out the difference between like the similarities in the home that they say they liked versus the two that are here. And it's like, well, I kind of only wanted to see this one. Okay, then we don't need to go look at this one right away. Let's do this one.
yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
I'll try to guide the tour of homes that we go
yeah,
look at
yeah,
versus just necessarily ripping
yeah,
paper.
yeah. Because you don't bring paper, I
Right.
mean, we already established, that, right, right. But you could say, okay, great, this one's off the list. Right? Meaning, in our heads, we just threw this away.
And I usually ask them like, okay, what is this out? 1, a 10, 7, oh, why? Oh, okay, good,
Okay,
let's go to the next one. Well, the last one you said it was a 7, this one has a little bit more than the other one. What are you gonna rate this one? And then we nail it down, so like, alright, we came up with number 10 now, like. What's holding us back?
amen. Amen, so I might go one step further, one. Knowing that's the system I'm gonna use, instead of saying at the beginning, when we find the house that meets all your needs and most of your wants. I might say, okay, what I like to do is as I show houses, I like to rate them. So the very first one, I'm gonna say on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you think? And maybe it'll be a 5 for what I, you know, let them off the hook. The first one's a 10, you have to buy it, right? It might even be a 5, whatever. But as we go through, we're gonna start hitting a 9 and maybe even a 10. When we hit that, and I'm gonna say 9 or 10, because you buy a 9, right? You know, 10 means perfect.
Sometimes you buy an 8.
Right.
Sometimes you buy an 8. When we start getting up, okay, when we start getting up into the 8.5s, 9s, 10s, what's gonna stop you from writing an offer on a 9? Right, okay. And if the answer is, which it could be, well, a 9's not perfect. Okay,
Are you perfect?
well, thank you, yeah, really, no, I wouldn't date you either. I think that's an important thing to know. Oh, we're gonna stall by looking for perfection. Like, okay, guys, we need to talk. The odds of a perfect home is pretty slim. What we're looking for is a 9, an 8.5, a 9, that with very little decorating, whatever, you make it your 10. If we're looking for a 10, then we probably should talk now.
Then go get a second job.
Yeah,
I have saved myself a lot of time when doing showings, like. So like, say we're at house number 2, So compared to the first one we just saw, do you like this one much? No, it doesn't have curb. Okay, cool, we can leave.
Mhm.
Like, we don't have to do the basement tour. Looking at the basement isn't gonna make the house any better to you.
Amen.
Like, and that's been fun to say, like, hey, compared to the one we just saw. You like this one better? Is it worse? And
Mhm.
like, oh, it really isn't what we're looking for. Okay, then we don't have to finish this tour.
Yeah.
We can move on to the next one.
I wanna argue that anybody that's struggling with people that are looking at houses too long, that's on you.
Oh, for sure.
Their personalities might be to look longer, but if it's happening, that's on you. There are ways to speed things up. Part of that is confidence, right?
I even asked him like, how did you like the drive to your house? Do you like your surroundings?
Yeah,
If you don't, then
Right.
let's not even go in the house because,
but you do drop a card.
no.
Does
Uh,
any of us
never.
have cards anymore?
You guys
Never,
don't drop cards.
never,
I do, but
You
not
got
always.
Not-
Showings,
Yeah.
not a single time.
I try.
Lori
like, I don't
Sturdivant
bring my
always
purse.
asks, please
I
leave a card.
Don't
Yeah.
bring my pocket, it's,
I do what I remember to.
I have cards with me, but
I
like,
have forgotten to bring cards before, and I'll just like,
right on a piece of
I'll just rip
paper.
off a piece of the MLS sheet and write, thank you so much. I just wanna, and I understand old school versus new school, and maybe I'm, maybe
yeah,
I,
like, is that
missed the boat.
changing?
the
Cause I feel like
reason,
nobody does.
the reason for it is to let the seller know it's okay to come home. And for me.
Oh, I just
wanna
text the
know
agent, and
that.
let him know I'm done.
Oh, you do? You
Yeah, I
text
just text the
agent,
listing agent, hey, thanks for the showing.
I'm done.
If you
I'm
leave a
done.
card, how does the seller know that it's time to come home with the cards in the house?
That doesn't,
Well, if they're just leaving them there and they've lost track of them, they should have an offer by now. What I always found is that the sellers didn't leave all the cards out. They
Pick them up and throw them away.
throw them away, which is why I would always use my old ugly cards for showings, cause.
I don't have any of
my
that,
newer-
that's why-
Yeah, there you go. Or I would,
I just like how
I would just
percent of
write
them are-
thank you on a scrap of paper and just, and leave that.
they
If you're
know.
letting the agent know, fine.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it's
That's
all
the point.
electronic.
The point of a card, and actually, I don't love a card because it also gives the seller your contact information, and as the listing agent, don't be calling those other agents. So I don't really love a card as a listing agent, but I do want my seller to know you came. Here's the thing you need to know about not going in. I can't believe that hasn't backfired on you. As a primary listing agent, I'm gonna tell you, many sellers go and sit at the neighbors and watch you, and they hate you. that
For
you
not
didn't go
showing
in.
up.
Or not showing up, or not going in. And they don't even go in, and the reason you don't want them hating you is they may not stay with that agent, and they're sure not gonna call you. So I think even though you're the buyer's agent, you do have to kind of ask yourself, what would the seller want? And you do kind of owe it to the seller. They got out for you, you go in for them.
At that point, it was like, drive by, buyers should drive by,
First,
that they can tell that stuff on their own.
right, drive by before the show.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't. make
So for me, what I would always say is, if they were like, nope, I'd like, okay, fine, but we're here. I have to drop a card. You don't have to come in with me. I almost hope you don't, because I don't wanna have a showing on a house you hate, but I have to go in. And then 99%
But
of
if
the
I'm-
time, they go into.
If I'm spying on you from my neighbor's house and I see that you walked in, your buyers didn't.
It's the
And
best
then I
time.
just came out like
It's-
a minute later or
it's-
30 seconds later,
It's
for me, it's gonna be the same.
not the same. It's not as bad as you literally getting back.
I would say it's a little bit different than a no call, no show.
Mhm.
I mean, like, I'll argue
That's annoying.
a little different.
It is a little different.
Like,
What I was.
Cause I'm trying to save myself the
Emotionally,
time.
Right.
yes.
Let's just move on, let's go to the next one.
I get that, but I think you're hitting a level of courtesy you don't wanna hit. Matter of fact, what I said, I hope the buyers don't come in, cause I don't wanna show them a house they don't like. I actually hope the buyers follow me in and follow me back out. Because yes, that is hurtful to the seller that they walked in and walked out, but they did it. I didn't do that. The buyers walked in, the buyers walked out, I'm with them. That's not my fault, but at least we went in. I would be careful about not going in. Yeah, I'm just on the perspective of the other side. So. What else?
Mm.
What got us talking about not going in? Oh, asking them. To
Yeah,
go.
whether or not
Yeah.
they're interested in the home,
Mhm.
Yeah.
where they're rated on everything else they're doing.
I will say too, Dad said this over and over and I didn't get it till I got it, but Dad said I didn't have to start really having fun in real estate until I started saying the things I needed to say. And I'm here to tell you, if you're with buyers and you're rolling your eyes inside, there's something you need to say to them, just say it. Just say it, right? So if it's, guys, now I can be flippant and I have pissed people. I said to one guy, well, thank God it's not brain surgery and no one's gonna die. And it made him very, very, very mad. It's fine because I hated the guy. But you do have to be careful and say it professionally, but there is a way to say, okay, guys. We need to not, these people are waiting to come home. We need to not look at a house that we know we don't like. Let's go. You know, if you're rolling your eyes every time we come and you guys sit out like a family reunion in the front yard for 2 hours, you say that, and there's a way to say it, right? Blame it on the seller. Hey, guys, no reason you shouldn't talk about the house, but let's leave the yard, let's go down the street to the McDonald's or whatever, so the seller can come, right? You just, if you're rolling your eyes in your head, there's something that they're doing, just tell them. Listen, your dad is welcome to every showing.
Does anyone else have experience where they take like a lot of time after a showing standing there? Discussing?
That happens when they bring the whole family. So I can almost guarantee you, when they all show up, they're all gonna stand out front and talk for an hour.
Maybe I've not had, cause I've, well,
Move
because
along.
like, yeah, my usual thing at the end of a showing, it's like. Okay, hey, so like, let's get in our cars and you can head back home and I'll call you as soon as we're in the car, we'll chat while we're driving back. If you want to write an offer, I'll get that information from you, I'll send you the email, you can e-sign everything.
Because you're setting up the expectation, let's leave.
Yeah,
Right? And again, that's what I mean. If they're hanging around, if they're looking too long, if they're looking at too many, really, that's on you. There's something you need to say to them that you just haven't said it and you need to say it. What were you gonna say? No? Yes?
When I see that they're just looking,
Yeah.
I just say, hey guys, our appointment time's coming to an end.
Mhm.
That's what I do. That's what I did when I had those people that, oh, we hate it. And they're looking in the cereal cupboard of the house they hate. Then you're one of those. And then I would just schedule their appointments every 20 minutes and I'd be like, okay, guys, we gotta get to the next one. It's,
Mhm.
I overlap my appointments and the end is very flexible.
Yeah.
Like, oh, no,
well, they don't need to know.
our
Yeah.
appointment's gonna end.
I always give us more time, but
Yes.
I keep it.
Yes.
Now, if it's a legitimate, like, okay, we're measuring, we're showing real interest, then we're gonna take up our whole allotted time. If you're just looking to look, then
Well, you have to be careful about that too, right? Because if you set up the expectation, boom, 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 and then they find a good one that they really wanna. You have to be careful that you don't just let them stay without saying something, because now they know he was lying on all those others, right? So I will say something like, okay, guys, clearly we're excited about this one. Either let me call the agent of the next one and let them know we're gonna be late, or should we just cancel the next showing? Is this the one? I am going to do everything I can, every chance I get to be like, are we writing an offer? Is this the one? Because again, I wanna set up that expectation. We are not just shopping here, we are buying.
Yep.
Yeah. Even if the next one wouldn't, even if we wouldn't be late, I'm gonna pretend like we'd be late. Let me call and push the other one back, or should we just, just so that if they don't buy this one, they don't think. We're not really in a hurry. She let us stay at that other one for an hour.
Yep.
I told you I've done that before, where then I got sidetracked and they'd be like, don't you have to be in Marshall at 4? Yes, no, I lied. I don't have to be in Marshall at 4, but I forgot that I lied, and thank you for reminding me.
Or they wanna start talking about offers inside the house or right outside the front door. And
Yeah.
no, we have to stop right now.
Yeah,
Let's wait till we get in our car.
Yeah.
Yep.
that's a great way to get them
Mhm.
out. Hey, guys, we don't know if seller has a ring or any kind
Mhm.
of recording device, and obviously we wanna keep any thoughts to ourselves so that if you decide this is the one. Out. Plus, of course, you don't wanna leave them hanging there. And then you leave, and then the seller pulls up, and now they're talking to the seller.
Mhm.
You definitely don't want that.
Yeah.
Okay,
Good.
good, if you now go back to your desk,
Can you
go
share this?
through this
Yes,
list,
can you
yes,
share
of
those
course,
things?
of course, all of it.
Yes.
But go back to your desk, pull out your buyer boot camp and go to page 37 and go through the process and ask yourself, is there a system, is there a handout that should go with this step? How do I do this step? Do I know how I do this step? Do I do it the same every time? So that, Emma, we cure that thing. Now, it's easy to ask them for a meeting because I have an agenda, I have things I need to, I gotta do this stuff. So you have a reason, a real reason to have them meet with you.
Mhm.
Okay,
I think it's, I mean, yes, I need to do all this stuff and I feel like it started and then it was like. I don't need this, or nobody looks at it, or we don't at a meeting, we just look at some houses and they buy, you know, like.
Mhm.
But I do see it being more difficult for people that you know that are like. I'm thinking, you know, and I've seen this house before and it came up and I really, if it's perfect and it's the right price, then I'll figure out how to sell it. Then we'll look at selling
Sure.
mine and. And it's like, well, I'm not gonna sit down and have this whole conversation with them.
Mhm.
But maybe when the time comes, that's, or, you know, when we have to have a showing signature for that situation, it's just an explanation of. We're just gonna sign a showing
Yeah,
document, but under, you know, in the future, if you are looking, we'll sit down and have a.
yeah, maybe that's it. Hey, guys, I mean, I understand it's just this house. You told me it's just this house if this ends up being your dream house. What I'd love to do is spend about 20 minutes telling you how I work. But we're friends, you trust me and let's go ahead and sign this. Let's look at it. But, you know, Taya one time told a story about how she met with some sellers she'd already sold 2 or 3 houses to, or 4, they were sellers. And she met with them quickly and briefly and and they were kind of upset. Like, oh,
They'd expected
yeah,
the whole.
they didn't get the whole
Experience.
experience, exactly. And where she felt like, I don't wanna burden them again with this whole thing, they were like, oh, now we're just taking for granted, we don't get the whole thing. And so, you know, being careful to not assume that somebody doesn't want the full package just because they know you are, you know, and reading the room. Right, the emotionally intelligent agent says, you know, read the room if they're, you know, but if they're like, then, okay, I understand, let's go ahead and do this, but it's important to me that you know. I'm good at this and I have a process for this that I'm proud of, so if we decide to work together, I'd love to be able to just kind of have a quick meeting with you about how I work and what I do.
I just showed my cousin a house and I still brought my buyer bag and everything.
And that's nice, I mean, should your cousin who you love more get less? No. Right? The things I was gonna say is again, this new rule, right? Oh, I also. Don't you love it when a new agent comes into the business? And they haven't been turned down or treated badly or told no, and you tell them, do this, and they're like, okay, and they do it. I need you to sign this. No, you have to sign it. They don't know that it, and then they're like, really? They don't sign them for you? They sign them for me all the time. Sometimes that kind of just. Ignorance is bliss, you know, we get shut down enough times that we go into the meeting hoping we don't get shut down. Go back to being a new agent, people get shut down, I didn't know that. You know, it's a little bit our expectations too. Go in expecting, I'm wonderful, of course you wanna work with me. What? You have objections? People don't object to me. You know, it's a little bit what you expect. Okay. Good?